This podcast is meant for general health information and is not meant to override any medical advice. All questions will be screened and not contain any personal information. If you want a private consultation, contact us via positivechoice.org or you can contact your provider directly. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Welcome to Positive Choice Wellness Podcast. I'm Anneliese, an exercise physiologist and nutritionist.
And my name's Melanie. I'm also an exercise physiologist and nutritionist.
We're the same.
Yes.
I mean, not really, but kind of.
It's a big sister, little sister thing, I think.
It is. It is.
I had to follow in your footsteps, and I didn't even know you yet.
It was destined.
It is. It was destiny at the beginning of it. I didn't even know it, and here we are.
That's right. Just like today's topic.
Yes.
It's destiny that we're going to talk about goal setting.
Goal
today.
setting.
Yeah. I love this topic. I think it's really important, and I think I didn't recognize how important goal setting was earlier in my life.
I agree with that on a deep level because I felt the same way until I started doing it myself and went, oh, okay.
and we're not talking about goal setting like I want a mansion on the hill or I want to lose 70 pounds. We're not talking about these wants and fantasies. We're talking about how do you use goal setting to help you move forward in a very specific way.
Exactly. And you know, when we discuss goal setting too, I think we get kind of hung up in the minutia, little things, or the big picture even. It's a little bit of both, really. Mm-hmm. You get too many little goals. You're like, I got to do all the things. Or sometimes it's like, I have to focus on this one big thing that's just daunting. And so I guess a lot of our topic may be more oriented around breaking that down, making it easier for you to digest, forgive the pun, you know, life needs some structure, and it's just to help you get some structure.
That's right. And if you want to move forward, if you want to move towards things, you have to know where you're going. I always say, you know, it's all well and good to say I want to go to Europe. Well, that's nice, but you can't book a flight to Europe. Right? You need something more specific than that.
Yeah.
You need to know, I want to go to like Athens, Greece.
Yes.
And then we can book that plane ticket. But if we leave it as, I want to go to Europe, then that stays as just a thought of, I want to go to Europe, and you're not going to move anywhere towards that. And it's the same thing with
like New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I want to lose weight. Cool.
Right.
Where do we go from here? Right.
There is also what I think is the most important about solidifying what is a good goal versus what is not a good goal.
Yes.
Is it action oriented? Is this something that is 100% in your control?
Yeah. Do you have a game plan? Do you have an idea of how you're even going to get there, and can you have steps involved to get to your goal?
Right. Like, I want to lose 5 pounds this week. You are not in control of that. That is not action oriented. You cannot control if the scale is going to be 5 pounds down at the end of the week. But you can control the things that might affect that.
Yes.
Which is you can eat healthfully. You can watch your portions. You can make sure you get an exercise in. That is action oriented. It's something that you have complete control over, and you can see very quickly, did I do it? Did I not do it?
Yeah. And I think that brings up a good point was like, can you even measure what you're doing? Is there a way to gauge how you're moving in that direction? It's more than just, I want to lose weight, because there's nothing measurable about that. Cool. What? A limb? Cut it off. Great. You did it. You lost some weight. It's done. Don't do that, please. But, you know, that's, I think, where we get hung up on like these broad, generic, open-ended goals that don't really have any specifics. And I think a lot of it comes down to, can you even get an idea of what you're measuring of that goal? You know, a good goal would be like if you have a tangible number of A1C, you know, like if you have a number for A1C, and let's say you're pre-diabetic and it's like a 5.9 or something. And if you don't know about that, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw out numbers right now. But
A1C is a measurement of your blood sugar over time.
Fine.
If you don't know.
Fine. Give them the answer. See how I feel about it. But like if you give out a measurable, tangible number of my A1C is 5.9, I don't want to be pre-diabetic. If you just say I don't want to be pre-diabetic, is that a good goal? No. Because that doesn't, no one wants to be pre-diabetic, but it doesn't mean you have an idea of how you're going to get out of that. So measuring your success would be like obviously dropping the number of A1C down, but as far as a timeline, what you would want to focus on more is like, how are you going to get that down in the first place? What are you going to do that?
What behaviors have to happen every single day
exactly
to get to that more long-term goal?
Exactly. So, it would be like, it could even be dropping, whatever junk food that you have in your house, so just getting rid of that and be like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to eat the junk. I'm not going to eat the crackers, and I'm not going to eat the sugary cereal, and I'm not going to have the bread, which is delicious, but I'm not going to have that. And you limit yourself on these carby, delicious, yummy things, but also under the guise that you're doing it for your health, for bettering your A1C, to get out of the pre-diabetic range, so you're not a diabetic. And that's measurable in and of itself. You didn't have that this week, or you didn't have bread 5 days out of the 7 this week.
Right. And that's a day-by-day thing too, right? Like, if I am not going to eat any processed carbohydrates like bread, pasta, cookies, candy, I can, at the end of the day, it's either I did or I didn't.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you can check off day by day, like, today I didn't.
Yay.
and then there's the yay process, which I just want to touch on really quickly, because one thing that I always tell my classes is that the ultimate goal of the goal is to hit the goal.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, measuring, we also want to make these things realistic, because part of the goal setting process is to gain momentum and confidence in your ability to do this.
Yeah.
So every single time you set a goal and you meet it, you gain confidence in your ability to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You feel good about yourself. And then the same is true on the other way, because if you're making big goals that are out of reach, that you're not meeting, you take that in as failure, as lack of trust in your own ability to do what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that builds up and makes you feel like you don't want to do these things that will actually benefit your health.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's right.
And it's a fair point too, because a lot of it comes to being confident that you can accomplish your goals. And what we've said before is like small goals. You don't want to go over the top and have this big end goal, end game thing where you're like, okay, here it is. That's what I'm going for. Because, the example I love to use is like, let's say you have to lose 100 pounds. Realistically, that could take up to 2.5 years to do, realistically. And if that is your goal, and you look at it from now to 2.5 years from now, go, 2.5 years? Are you kidding me? Yeah, no, we're not kidding you. And that's a lot, and it's overwhelming. And then looking at the bigger picture like that, the little things you do don't seem so significant, and you lose your confidence in getting to that point. And so finding little things you can focus on that you get to week by week, even day by day, if it has to be, that can help motivate you and keep you confident. It's about getting to the end goal in the way that's going to be successful for you, and not so much big picture.
Right. Because even though the big picture is, let's stay with this example, that you want to lose 100 pounds, that is a big picture goal, but that is going to require a day by day minutia of doing things that don't give that kind of like dopamine payoff of, I lost a bunch of weight. No, most days are going to be like, oh, I'm eating a salad for lunch again.
And now I'm only 92 pounds away. Woo!
Yes, that's right. So we have to find that confidence, that yay feeling.
Yes.
We have to find it on a day-by-day basis and be really clear about what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And little things that can give you confidence, I think of them as like the stepping stones. We're not trying to get there and change everything all at once. And like things I hear, an example is if you were trying to track your food. This is a part of this like 100-pound loss goal that we're using as our bigger example. Example for big example.
We're staying with the 100 pounds.
Yeah. So let's say you're like, well, I want to track my food. Okay, that's a great goal. I think, it's not specific, but it's a great goal. So let's say you think, well, clearly to be successful, we know that tracking your food every day is ideal, and that's what we want you to do. But if you're not doing it and you make your goal, I'm going to track my food every day, that might be unrealistic for you, because if you're not doing that, you're asking a lot of yourself, It's like, I'm going to track my food every day, and then you don't do it because that's more than you were. You went from nothing to 100%, and that's hard to do for a lot of people. And it's okay to slow down and go, I'm going to track my food 4 days this week out of the 7. 4 days, just 4. From start to finish, 4 days I'm tracking my food. And if I do more, gold star. But if I don't, I only ask myself to do 4. And ideally, we hope that you would strive above and beyond and do all 7. But you start with those little goals, because if you overwhelm yourself, you're not going to want to do it.
That's right. And the goal of the goal is to hit the goal.
Yeah, goal, goal, goal.
Yes. And it's important to recognize that's a learning moment too.
Yeah.
So let's say that I'm right out the gate and I'm like, 7 days, that's my goal to track my food, and I don't hit it. That is a learning moment. It's not a moment of failure. And what you learned is that for right now, that may not be a realistic. So we have to look critically at what got in the way this week.
Yeah.
Was it a planning issue? Was it that you forgot? Was it that you left it till the end of the day and then you forgot to do it? If so, then maybe next week what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that as we eat, we do it. Maybe it just was too many days per week. So then we're going to cut that down. So it's learning about where you're at, being nice to yourself about where you're at.
Please be nice to yourself.
You have to be nice to yourself, because if you are not, you will mentally run away.
Yeah. If you beat yourself down for not doing something that you told yourself you would do, negative reinforcement, scientifically speaking, doesn't work.
That's right.
It doesn't work. Positive reinforcement, you have to not be so negative about it. And coming from someone who has done this to themselves, couldn't tell you how many times. You have to recognize when you're being too hard on yourself and go, do I really need to beat myself up over this? Clearly that didn't work. Maybe I was asking too much of yourself. Take a step back and look analytically at what you did, and is there something that just was the factor? Maybe you don't know, and that's okay. Just make your goal smaller regardless, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's a learning moment even if you are successful too.
That's
because
true.
if you're successful, then
How successful were you? Extremely.
I'm so successful every day.
I'm the best.
But if I was successful this week, I learned that the things that I implemented did work.
Yes.
And I'm going to go from that, and I'm going to build on that.
Yeah. And I think that's a fantastic place to be, because it kind of builds into that positive mindset and that positive reinforcement. And it also improves your confidence. It's all really like cyclical. It all kind of ties back to itself. Like all these things really loop in and become how you're going to accomplish that goal, and how successful you're going to be is entirely dependent on how you're treating yourself when you get there or not.
Yes, absolutely.
And I included and not, or not, and not. I don't know what I said anymore.
we got the gist. But on that exact note, it's also important to be realistic with the fact that we are human beings.
Yeah. And
it's not an if you have a failure, it's not an if you fall, it's a when. Mm-hmm. So expecting that and not expecting you to be perfect is also really important. So one of the things that I run into with some of my classes is that they make a goal for themselves, but they know that for whatever reason this week is going to be more stressful. And then they come back the following week and they're like, well, I didn't hit my goals because this and this happened. You can account for that. So if you know that, for example, we're in the middle of the pandemic and kids went back to school this week. So parents are home and they're homeschooling and they're working. So if you know that week is coming, that's an excellent week to dial back on your goals. Yeah. And your goals for that week could be, I'm going to take 5 minutes of deep breaths every day.
I think that's a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
I've been doing this lately with my classes because we've been suffering from a wonderful heat wave, and it's been in the hundreds, and it's unbearably hot, and I hate it. I came from Fresno, and this is not what I signed up for. I'm not okay with this. But one thing that I always mention to my classes when I'm teaching them, we talk about our goals, because every class I teach, I always mention goals. At the end, I'm like, factor in the weather into your goals. If you know you don't have air conditioning, or maybe you do and you're lucky, but if you don't have air conditioning, factor that in, because that absolutely will affect you. If it's 100 degrees, you're not going to want to do some of the things. Like, you're probably not going to want to work out. You're probably not going to want to eat healthy, regardless of what your goal is. It's hard to do that when you're miserable. And so you work around your goals. You plan that into it. So I think that's a great kind of tip of just expect some things might occur and plan for it.
Right. Expect that life is not steady waters, and it's okay to plan around that. And if you guys want to do some more digging and educating on the subject of motivation, check out a author called BJ Fogg. And some of the crux of his teaching is that our motivation levels ebb and flow.
Yep, it's motivation mountain and motivation ravine.
That's right. And most of the time, our default is this kind of baseline low motivation to just kind of stay the same. And the thing to take away from that is that we are not always in this high motivation zone where we can take these drastic steps. So if you have ever gone on a new fitness regimen or a new eating plan and you're super excited, you can devote all the energy to it, and you're just bam, 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 making all these big changes, and then suddenly those big changes feel really challenging.
Yeah.
That is normal.
Yeah.
And at that point, we tend to go one of two ways. The first way, and the most common way, is, why can't I still make these same choices? So I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah.
Right? Now your progress is lost.
Yeah.
Or we can take a nice point of view towards ourselves and a realistic point of view of being a human being and go, okay, so things are a little bit more challenging for me right now. So maybe my goals are going to be smaller now because I still want to move forward in my health journey. So maybe I'm going to eat vegetables every single day. Maybe that feels doable to me. I'm very low motivation, but I can make sure that I eat like a couple cups of vegetables every day.
Basic, easy stuff.
Yes. And then in the long run, what that looks like is you are consistently moving towards your goal.
Yeah. If you're stuck in that ravine of low motivation where you just don't want to do the thing, and that's what you're doing, is, well, I'll start with veggies. I treat it as like stepping stones that help lift you out of the ravine and go back up the mountain to get more motivated. And it's little things that you can do and incorporate into your day, even though they may feel insignificant. You add them in, and you can take those baby steps to lift yourself up and get yourself out of it. Because when your motivation's low and you don't do anything to change your motivation, it doesn't change. You might just sit there and be like, meh, I don't want to do this. And you just stay there. And it helps to try doing little things. You know, if it's moving and moving is the issue, little thing you can do with movement, you put some walking shoes by the door and go for a walk. You know, it's little, it's small. Maybe go somewhere you enjoy. If you like the beach, go to the beach, walk on the beach. Walking in sand is a workout in and of itself. And sand is very sinky. You kind of lose your footing in it. So
is sinky an actual
I don't think it
term?
is, but I think we established this on our first or second episode that I'm going to use words that are unique and non-existent sometimes.
They're unique, and we know what you mean, so now they're official.
Yes, it's a Melanie phrase, sinky. So
it means to sink
in sand. But the other thing I was thinking too, which also helps, is rewarding yourself, because we strive for dopamine and endorphins, and it's the feel-good hormones. It makes us go, yay, we did the thing. It's the yay moment.
Yes, if only we could get that in synthetic form.
Oh God, that would be
Wouldn't
amazing.
that be amazing?
Just drink it. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Daily dose of endorphins. But I mention this because, you know, we tend to think about, no, I have to achieve this goal. This is what I'm going for. We stop thinking, well, shouldn't I treat myself as like a reward and thank myself for doing all this hard work? I say yes, but I say that with an asterisk, because yes, except you probably should treat yourself with something that brings you closer to your goal. That is the key here. That's the phrase I'm going to lay out. And we went to a convention together, and that's where we heard that phrase. Like, rewarding yourself should be a reward that brings you closer to your goal, not farther from your goal. And like, for the example that I like to use for this, because I did a very popular weight loss program for a very long time, and after I would weigh in, I would be, yay, I lost the weight. And I go right over and buy a burger and get myself like a blended coffee drink. And that was my like treat for myself because I did the work. Yeah, I get to eat the thing I wanted to eat all week. And it's a reward because I'm getting that endorphin rush and I'm getting a sugar rush, which also leads to more endorphins. But it doesn't equate to bringing me closer to my goal. Like I didn't do anything that's going to make me healthier in that moment of getting that burger and getting that blended coffee drink. All it did is it made me happy for that moment and then go, oh man, I can't believe I did that. And now I'm sad. And then I just eat to feel not sad. And I kind of shoot myself in the foot.
Yes. That was a mind-blowing moment for me too.
Yeah.
When she said that, because I think that it's really easy to get into that mindset.
Yeah.
And especially around food, at least for me, because food is a challenging subject for me.
Delicious.
It is delicious.
Which is why we're here talking about it.
But it also, just listening to what you were saying with that example, I was thinking, not only are we, quote unquote, rewarding ourselves with food, right? We're rewarding ourselves with backtracking from the goal that we've set.
You lose that same 5 pounds over and over and over again.
Right. But it's also kind of setting up this underlying idea that the eating healthy and exercising is some kind of temporary punishment to fix our bodies. And we're allowing ourselves this little reprieve with the blended coffee, with the sweet coffee drink and the burger, because that's what we really want.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of thinking about that underlying messaging that we're sending with that pattern, which ultimately will drive us away from long-term habits, right? If the goal is the burger, then I'm only going to hold out so long because the goal is to have the burger.
And I get the burger. Yay.
Right.
Yeah. So, when you're rewarding yourself, that's really what's most important too. Because like, that's a big aspect of it. Of just like recognizing like, yeah, maybe I don't want to say shouldn't be doing that, but it's just like, maybe my goal should be, or my reward for my goal should be oriented more around something that'll get me closer to my goal rather than something that is my goal, apparently, is just to eat said burger. It doesn't solve any problems. It just gets me, I got the burger. And then I still know in the back of my mind, but I want to lose that weight.
Right.
But I'm always waiting for the burger at the end of the week.
Right.
And really to like kind of hit the home run on that point is your goals, if your goal is to get that burger and get the whatever, and you're not really looking at the bigger picture of like changing your health, it's a lifestyle thing. You're doing these things you want to sustain for life. So if you're trying to achieve a goal, it's not a temporary thing. It's usually something you want to establish as a routine forever. And exercise absolutely should never be punishment. And I always like really be upset if I hear about like college coaches or high school coaches like punish their athletes for working out. And they just make, you got to do like 20, I'm thinking water polo and whatever, 20 laps of butterfly. Ugh, the worst. It was the worst. And that was our punishment. And so then it gives you this mindset of, exercise is punishment, and you're stuck with that. And that's why I like hate when people say that, because it shouldn't be. It's not punishment. It's supposed to be just like tuning up the car. You got to keep your gears moving and everything. So you can't just say, I'm exercising as a form of punishment because I'm unhealthy. Exercise establishes health.
That's right. And I'm having all these visions of
seeing the scanning in her eyes. Like, yes.
Yeah. I think that, and the men who are listening can chime in and tell us if this also happens with them, but definitely with, groups of women when you go out and you're eating. And there almost seems to be this underlying rule that if I'm having fries or if I'm having a glass of wine or whatever it is, that somehow one person will always say something to the effect of, I'm so bad for having this, but I'll work out 2 hours tomorrow.
Yeah. And
it's like, where does that messaging come from? Well, we know where it comes from.
Yeah.
That could be, we might do a whole other show on this. But
our topic, we've deviated from goals to stop beating yourself up.
Stop buying into diet culture. Stop beating yourself up. But the underlying message is that you are not allowed to enjoy food.
Yeah.
And exercise will be a punishment if you do.
Yeah. So breaking that mindset, if those are your goals, don't treat them as a punishment of whatever it might be. Like, I'm exercising because they said I had to. Like, that's you're not going to get anywhere with that attitude. So what I usually say, like, if you're going to reward yourself for doing something, like maybe you did exercise and it wasn't punishment. You're like, I did the 5 days, woo. And you can, I like to establish goals kind of like not super short term, because if you give yourself a reward all the time, you're going to run out of money if you're paying for stuff. You're like, I'm going to get new shoes every time I accomplish a goal. You're going to have a lot of shoes.
I guess we know what reward you often turn
to. But
buying things.
I like to buy things for myself when I'm feeling good about what I did. But I'll set like a goal, I'd say like monthly. Like I'll do a couple. I'll do like the weekly goals that get me through the week, but I'll have the ultimate goal after a few weeks of doing something. If I get to the end point, go, okay, I did this. I personally feel I deserve something from my amazing accomplishment. So I'll get myself a new pair of workout shoes. So not only are they shoes, because they're great, but they're workout shoes. So I now have an excuse to wear them and move in them and incorporate more activity into my life because I have more shoes to use, and it's just all good for me. But that's just one example. Anything that brings you closer to your goal, it could be mindfulness. It could be investing in an app. It could be... it could be taking the time and going to the beach and reading a book. It could be anything you want it to be.
Absolutely.
Rewards are what makes you feel happy, not what someone expects you to feel.
That's right. One thing that I always feel really good about, and this is just something simple, is I have a paper calendar.
You do. I've seen it.
I have a paper calendar because I love me some like tangible paper and pens. I love it for writing, for drawing, and for my goal setting. And so day by day, I have these goals that I want to hit. And at the end of the day, I get to take my orange marker and cross the day off because I completed everything that I wanted to complete. And there is something very satisfying and rewarding about that. And as I'm going through my day, I'm like, do I want to see that day without the orange cross off? And then I'm like, no, I don't. I want to be able to confidently cross that day off. And so your rewards can be anything that speaks to you.
Mine's poking a checkbox on a checklist on my phone, and I love it. I have an app specifically for making lists, and I don't know how many lists. I've never counted, but a lot of lists. And I have one for like daily goals that I'm trying to get. And I don't call them goals. They're just things I want to check off the list, but they are kind of like goals in a sense. And when I poke the button, I'm like, yes, one less thing on my list. And it feels so good. Very type A personality over here, but you are too, so it works.
I'm not.
Oh, fine, whatever. Get out of here.
I am a type B personality with perfectionist tendencies.
Yeah. Okay. So you're masquerading as type A, but you're not type A. Got it. Okay.
Just like I am an introvert capable of pretending to be an extrovert. I'm just a very complicated person.
You are.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Okay. Question time.
You will not put me in a box, okay? You will not put a title on me.
I'm not going to put my label maker and make a label, stick it on your forehead. Okay. So we have some questions. So the first one is from Martha. I don't know what kind of goals to make for myself. Well, there you go. Okay. I'm in this maintenance mode and I'm dried up on what goals I need to make. What do I do?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
And I that sounds to me like a little bit of like maybe burnout.
Oh,
like she's been working on herself for a while and maybe there's some burnout happening.
Yeah. It could be that example we used earlier of the 100 pounds that takes two and a half years ish, something around that. You know, you're in it for a while. Eventually you kind of go, oh man, I'm doing this again.
Right. Right. Or maybe, we don't know where we can make some leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
A good place to start with that is look at some of the daily habits that are required for good health.
Yeah.
Right? So 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
That's a great starting place.
Are you getting it?
Most people don't.
Right. 64 to 128 ounces of water a day.
Yep. Anywhere from half a gallon to a gallon. It is great. I am on the higher end of that one.
Yes. Exercising 20 to 90 minutes a day.
But I will say this, start small. If you're not exercising, 10 minutes is fine.
No, but I mean, I think for this question,
Yeah. Oh,
for
yeah,
this
yeah,
question
yeah.
of like, where do I go? Here's some basic standards of what is health.
Yeah.
What is going to lead to your health? And if you're missing any of these, right? So if you're at 20 minutes of exercise a day and everything else is covered and you've got the bandwidth to up your exercise, maybe you want to up it to 45 minutes a day.
Totally.
Right? Meditation every day.
Yes.
So stress management.
I have a patient who sets an alarm on their phone and it dings at a specific time every single day. It's a time they know they're generally not doing anything. And they have it set so they have exactly 20 minutes and they'll go into another room of the house, close the door, and that's 20 minutes of their time that they do with what they want. And this particular patient meditates for that. And you don't have to meditate for 20 minutes. It can be 5 minutes or however little you want to do it for. But I thought that was really great, like a little reminder alarm. Meditate every day. I love it.
Yeah. Cultivating good relationships. That's an important thing. Anything else that we're missing on that? We got sleep. We got water. Oh, vegetables.
Yes.
Fruits and vegetables, you guys. 6 to 9 servings total.
Something like that, yeah.
6 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables.
Don't want to overdo it on the fruit because they still have calories and they can still add up pretty quickly. Like, don't eat a whole watermelon, but...
But if it's between a whole thing of Pop-Tarts or a whole thing of watermelon,
True.
Do the watermelon.
I will always say that too. It's like if you're like a donut or a banana, eat the banana.
Right.
Always.
Yes.
Never. There's no question there. But they both have sugar. But are you struggling with your weight because you ate too many bananas? No.
Nope.
But I think those are great points. It's like focus on what are you able to get accomplished? What are you doing?
And what puzzle piece are you missing?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all of those things, like, it takes time and practice to get on point with all of those things. So usually there's some little hole that feels like you could fill that. It's doable.
Exactly. All right. Well, then we have one more question, and it's from Amy. And I like this question. Is it okay to have a cheat day? I heard we need to have balance in what we eat.
Oh, I like this question too. But I'm super curious to hear what you're going to say.
So I am a huge proponent of living a balanced life. It's 80% what you eat, 20% what you do. But when it comes to your eating, 80% behave, 20% splurge. I won't say misbehave. I don't like to treat it that way. I don't talk about that like that because it's a choice. Anything that you choose to eat that isn't necessarily considered healthy is always going to be a choice. No one forced you to eat it. No one pinned you against a wall and shoved a cookie in your mouth. That's not what happened.
Someone did do that. They made me eat the cookie.
Someone actually legit did that to me at one point, but I'm not kidding. I refused to eat a deep fried Oreo at the fair, and they shoved me against a wall.
Oh.
I know. And I was...
no.
Thank you, high school friends. But anyways, so they... I think you absolutely need to have not necessarily a whole day, but like things throughout your week or on a specific day, if you want to designate a day. I like to designate a day where you can enjoy and indulge a little bit and not feel guilty about it. Because if your goal is to be healthy and, exercise and eat healthy and do all the right things, and you don't have a little bit of freedom in what you're allowing yourself to do, it's not going to last very long for the most part. You can sustain it for a while. I'm sure I've met people who've sustained it for a year, but they don't splurge. And eventually, something's got to give. Maybe you go to a party and there's something there and you really want to eat it. Or, maybe you just feel so frustrated with eating so healthy all the time. You don't really feel like you have joy anymore. I've met people that way. I find it's important to have some things periodically that make you feel human, if you will. So if you are... in a position where you've been losing weight for a while or just trying to make healthier decisions and you want to splurge, you're totally allowed. But I don't recommend having a whole day. I don't recommend dedicating an entire day to splurging, like a cheat day. Firstly, the word cheat is a dirty word. I hate that word. And secondly, you don't need a whole day.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before in terms of rewards and what those look like. And what I'm thinking while you're talking about this is also... if you are white knuckling it, if you are feeling like you need some kind of cheat meal or off meal, you're probably needing a little bit of adjustment in what you're doing during the week. Because if you are not enjoying your healthy food,
Which you absolutely should be.
Which you should be, and it is totally possible. We promise, you guys. We have a cookbook you can get on our website.
And we contributed to it, so we love it.
Oh shoot, I did more than contribute to it.
Well, yeah, but well, I contributed to it, and I watched her do stuff.
But positivechoice.org, you can get our cookbook. There's the plug for that. But yeah, if you are not enjoying your healthy eating, you're not going to stay on it.
No.
And I feel a little iffy about even creating a day, because I think that there is eating for nutrition and there's eating for pleasure.
Yeah.
And if I am just designating a day, then it has nothing to do with my circumstances. It has to do with indulging in food.
Yeah.
Versus like, okay, it's my birthday and we're going to go out to this restaurant and I want to be able to order whatever this restaurant does best, right?
Yes.
So then it's about enjoying the food. It's not about this like pre-planned, thank God I don't have to stick to my healthy food anymore. And I think that that's just the difference of the mindset in terms of, I think, why you don't like the term cheat day, because it entails this, I'm doing this miserable thing until I can finally have something good.
Yeah, and like when I think cheating, I think it's, and I'm telling you this is a true story, where you creep into the kitchen, the lights are off, you hold the light on the fridge and slowly open the door, keeping your hand on that light, you slowly eat whatever it is that's hiding in the fridge. Maybe it's a cold, leftovers. You didn't even microwave it. You're just like, I'm just going to eat these cold fries. And then you slowly put it back. Or, as I've done myself too, you sneak inside your pantry and eat in your pantry so nobody knows you're doing that. You're not only lying to yourself, you're lying to everyone else. That's really right. What it is.
That's right. And truly, that kind of behavior comes out of a feeling of deprivation.
Yes.
So the second that I am in a room with, I don't know, cake or fries or whatever, and my brain interprets that, I tell myself the story of, I can't have those fries because I'm on a diet or because I need to lose weight. That is the second that I have set myself up for a binge on anything else sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Your story has to be, and I cannot stress this enough around food, your story has to be that I don't want those fries because they don't make me feel good, they are not good for my body, and I have a priority on the health of my body.
Yeah.
And I have the choice to eat fries every single day if I wanted to.
Yes.
But I am choosing not to. And if one day I'm like, you know what would make my whole day? Having some French fries. I can enjoy those French fries and not have another thought about it.
And there's no guilt.
No guilt.
Because it's empowering because you have that choice. You're like, I made this choice. I'm having this because I chose to do it, and that's what works.
That's right.
And that's really, I think, a great point. And I really don't think you need a day. I don't like that at all. And if you're like in a weight loss mode, I say pick like 2 or 3 fun things a week, proper servings. It doesn't give you permission for a whole bottle of wine or a whole pie.
That's not good for anybody.
No, but it's a serving size that you can enjoy and you feel satisfied with that. If you're eating it and go like, oh my God, I want more. Well, maybe buy it in a controlled way so that doesn't happen, if that is the case. Or if that does happen, don't be too hard on yourself if you overdo it. It doesn't now give you permission to go completely off the rails. If you're like, wow, I screwed up and ate a whole pie, might as well eat 3 more. Like, that's not going to help you. So it's a learning process, but at the very least, I like to say you have the opportunity to enjoy some things occasionally throughout the week. You have an opportunity. It doesn't mean you have to. You don't have to commit to it at all. If you don't want to, don't. But you have the choice. The choice will always be there. It's a choice. You're never cheating. It's always a choice.
That's right. And that's such a powerful statement. That's a personal, empowering statement. You always are in control.
Yeah.
You always have the choice.
Exactly.
So to sum up,
yes,
for goals, make them specific.
Yes.
Okay. Make them realistic. Right? And if you make an unrealistic goal, learn from it and be nice to yourself.
Be kind.
Yes. Make it measurable. So do you know, can I tick this off my list today or can I not? And most importantly, make your goals action oriented. They are things that you have 100% control over.
Yeah.
Did I eat the apple or did I not eat the apple? Right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And that's completely in my control.
Yeah, exactly. So now you can go off into the world and create some goals and be successful. But heed our advice. Be kind. Don't beat yourself up over it, and
reward yourself.
Reward
yourself with things that move you towards your goals, not away from them.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy, but is improving on their progress.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, it is time.
It's time.
Well, thank you all for listening, and until next time.
Until next time.